And here's the International Aerobatic Club facility, which is very nice, which I'm a member of this. Vintage, in fact, Warbirds is the only group that I'm not a member of as far as EAA type of things. And this is the, oh, by the way, if I bring my Great Lakes up here, I can park in the IAC parking area here. They have a special parking area right across the front, and I think our chapter president has his airplane up here as pits. Said he was flying up here and parked out front.
No, it looks different. Yeah, it looks very equivalent.
And of course, we're coming back to the main flight line with the C-17. A couple of DC-3s, the B-52 still there. The the T-38 with the test pilot school might be gone. With the Navy test pilot school. Oh, nope, there it is over there in the corner. I got some information about a particular T-38. Now, I had one of my subscribers, members, followers, whatever you want to call them, who mentioned, now this is the aircraft on my shirt here. See right there, that tail number 579. That's the one where I had the canopy come off at 500 knots, 0.89 Mach, and really got my attention. And one of the guys said that later that went out to the Navy test pilot school in Pax River. So I went up to one of the guys standing by it, and you know, got talking a little bit, and I said, hey, what's the story on that? And of course, you know, they don't always like to disclose accidents or incidents, but what happened was they came in, landed as student and instructor, and apparently the student did not pull the power back less than 65%. And of course, this is a very slick aircraft with let's say not the best of brakes, and they weren't stopping, and they got towards the end of the runway and they realized it just wasn't going to stop. Nobody, I guess, realized that the power had not been pulled back all the way to idle, and that residual thrust was enough that they approached the end of the runway and went off the end of the runway, or were about to go off the end of the runway, so they punched out. And the airplane was restored later, and they redid the wing and did some enhancements. Of course, it has the dumbed down intake there that is more efficient in certain respects, but doesn't work quite as well as supersonic. But let's take a look at the gear here. As you notice, the gear is, oh, that tire pressure looks a little low. It's not a very substantial braking set of brakes there, so you don't get a lot of fantastic braking power. And one thing interesting thing about this, see if it still exists, you can get out here in the wing and you can see, it's hard to see on the camera, but you can actually look all the way through the aircraft and see out the other side. It works better if you know, you don't have you know, you got a lot better light. Of course, there's the speed brakes. Students have demonstrated that you can land on those and bring it to a stop. And of course, as you know, the T-38 is one of my favorite aircraft. All right, so that is the story of what happened to 579 when it went to the Navy test pilot school. Well, one thing that's interesting, one of the guys commented, was that the T-38 was always, we always talked about how easy it is to fly, how, you know, good characteristics and stuff like that. Now they say, compared to the modern aircraft, you know, you compare the T-38 to the F-4, the 104, yeah, the 38 was easy to fly. You compare it now to a lot of the aircraft, and it, they say it's more difficult to fly, which I thought was very interesting, because I've always considered it a very honest, easy aircraft to fly. Now it'll roll at 720 degrees per second. It's very pitch sensitive. 1 degree when you're coming in on the ILS will give you 900 feet per minute rate of descent. We had no autopilots. You don't train Air Force pilots, you know, to learn how to, at least initially, punch numbers into an autopilot. So it was all hand flying cross country, hand flying anywhere. And this is the interesting little yaw vane there We typically had one that extended way out with both yaw and pitch, called a yap's head, yaw and pitch. And they've got a yaw there. Obviously, he's been going backwards. And it's got a GPS antenna that we did not have, and that's cooling for the avionics and all sorts. Oh, it's got a gun type sight up there. That's kind of interesting. Anyway, a really nice, fun aircraft to fly. There are two ways to get in this canopy into the aircraft. This is quick, where you pull it jettison. That's the other handles that you can use to raise and lower it at the end of the day. The seat here, of course, is much more superior than what I had. We were 120 knots on the deck. That would work. And now there's 0-0. And of course, this is totally different than what I'm used to on the C model. Well, a lot of this stuff is the same. But, oh, the engine instruments are all different. Oh, the boost pumps are the same. Oxygen's the same. Yeah, but they got all these little buttons here to push. Oh, they have a heads-up display we didn't have before, and this multi-function thing, rudder pedal, pull to adjust. They had that. The stick looks to be the same. Yep, and that adjusts the G suit there. Don't, as a student, put your checklist there and inflate the G suit inadvertently, which kind of can be scary if you've never had it inflate before. And yeah, alternate gear extension, the gear there. Yeah, kept a few things, and of course the canopy handle over there and the canopy jettison over there, so that still stayed the same. Here we have a British World War II bomber, the Lancaster. I actually had my boss at Cessna Flight Test on the prop side, a guy named Doug Hazelwood, absolutely wonderful individual who unfortunately has since passed away, but he flew the Lancasters. And now, you talk about an interesting tail dragger, conventional gear. I guess you could use differential thrust to help steer. Look at those split flaps. Of course, the gunnery's the bomb way. Very beautiful engine.
Do it now. Free interactive gaming. This is the last call. Get the free Air Force wristband. Last call. If you want to do the pull-up challenge, all you gotta do is shake your hand from the bottom for 30 seconds, and you win free prizes. 30 seconds, big hand, you win free prizes. This is the last call.
And there's the Bombay area.
Last call. If you want to call the Air Force Class Simulator, do it now. If you want to play the free interactive gaming, do it now. Because we're closing the doors here pretty soon.
And of course your F-16 that has been around forever. I was involved in the initial flight test of that back in the 70s. We did a lot of test missions. I flew as lead so they could evaluate the side stick controller and formation, and was told I was being too smooth to rough it up a little bit so they could actually see how the flight controls worked better. So I heeded that and was able to fly poorly and give them better test data. So that's what I did. I flied poorly. Interesting. Split flaps, lift, and a lot of drag, kind of like my Q model 310. And of course the split tails here. The thing about being the guy in the aft gun, that has to be if you're in turbulence or that, or aggressive maneuvering, that's got to be a really uncomfortable place to operate. And that is the Lancaster.
Exactly.